Hey everyone, welcome to The Flip Side with your hosts Chris and Sean.
We're a podcast rambling about the interesting questions in the world of movement. Welcome back to The Flip Side podcast. Today's podcast is going to be all about mindset through injury. So I'm sure that we've all experienced minor injuries, and if you ever experienced a major one, you just need a really different mindset. You just need to stay positive, and you need to figure out how you're going to get through it. And if it requires a life change, then you have to make that change. So Sean, what kind of injuries have you had in your experience?
In my experience, too many. Let's see. If I'm counting like small ones like rips, finger sprains, toe sprains, just like general kind of stuff, maybe some ankle sprains.
Toe sprains. No.
Yeah, just like kicking your toe on something just on accident, and it just hurts like oh god. Sometimes it's the worst feeling, and then you buddy tape, and you're like, all right, like I can push through it, and you're like, nope, that hurts really bad.
Yeah, it goes all the way up your foot. Jeez. And I bet that happens a lot with like equipment, because we don't have really equipment, but you do.
Oh yeah. Too much. Oh my god, I did it all the time. It's just like it just happens. You just walk into the gym, you just kick something, you're like, all right, I'm fine. It's not that bad. No, it hurts. It's bad.
Oh, I hate that. What about well, I guess for triggers, the most common one is probably like wrist and ankle sprains, and I think that's like lack of warming up and lack of stretching, and then there's a lot of single leg stuff, and then whenever you're falling, I actually have this thing right now, I've had it for a really long time now in my wrist. So like when I was first learning double corks, I was training outside because I mostly did parkour at the beginning, and so I would do double corks, and because I twist left, it was so weird. I would land and then I would trip and only put my right hand down because my left arm would be pulling for the twist. So I just kept doing that over and over. And now I have this thing that if I put my hand in, like, for example, like if you do a Kong vault and you push through too far and I push through my fingertips, this like tendon on the outside of my, like near my pinky, it jumps over that knob, like on your wrist, like the bone knob. It jumps over it and it just sits on top instead of underneath. So I went to the doctor for it, and they said that my ligament casing broke. So my ligament casing, it like holds the ligament so it slides through and keeps it gliding properly. Well, the ligament's kind of just like free now, so it just kind of goes.
It does whatever it wants.
It was so scary. The first day that it happened, it just happened from like repetitively landing on my right hand. Like it didn't happen all at once. So like I had no pain. I had no issue. Like obviously I'd sprained my wrist, but it wasn't like a constant thing that I was dealing with. But then it happened, and I spent the entire day trying to get it back to where it was supposed to be. And then I did one thing. All I did was I pushed that knob down, and then it went back in place. I was like, whoa, I fixed it. And ever since, whenever it happens, I just do that and it goes right back. So, no issue, but it's just annoying. I had it bother me in combos though. Like sometimes I'll do a master scoot and I'll swing it up and be like, oh crap. And then I fix my wrist. That's why I couldn't push.
Huh.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, yeah, because healthy wrists, my wrists are so bad that healthy wrists are supposed to be able to pretty much go up close to 90 degrees if you pull your wrist up. Yeah, my wrists do, I think, about 45, maybe a little bit higher.
Oh, yeah, I remember that actually. Oh shit,
my wrists just are. There's probably so much scar tissue from jamming them so often, and same as my ankles. Because when I walk upstairs, my ankles will just pop, or sometimes they'll just get stiff, and I'll just stand in the gym doing calf raises just to pop my ankles, and they'll just look at me like, "Why are you doing that?" And then they hear the pop, they're like, "Oh my god, that's gross." Well, it sucks.
Yeah, well, I gotta walk, so we're doing that.
But let's see. Some other injuries, if I'm counting stupid ones that are outside of training, cutting my finger open, that was a fun one. Busting my face open, that was a good one. Those were also really stupid. Don't cut pizza at midnight or when you're really tired. It doesn't end well. That's how you almost cut a finger off.
You're just tired. Yeah, okay.
And then, let's see. Actual gymnastics injuries. Well, actually, I've only technically ever had one actual gymnastics injury, and that was tearing my ACL and a concussion. If I count concussions, that's also
I would count concussions.
Injury.
Because so you tore your ACL 3 times, right?
Yeah, on the same leg, which is great.
Okay, but they were so the other one, if I remember, it was football.
Yep.
And then what was the other one?
Basketball.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah, that's BS.
I was just like, wow. My leg is trash.
Yeah, that's so bad. So, how long was recovery for each one of those tears? Was it all the same or was it different?
Um, the first one, technically they said I'd have to do a year of physical therapy. I think I got released after 6 to 8 months from when I started physical therapy to being able to do full tumbling gymnastics.
Wow. Okay, so since the podcast is all about the mindset, so what was the mindset from the beginning when it first happened? Since this is your first serious injury compared to everything else, like now you have to take time off, and weren't you like so you were pretty deep, in like the gymnastics competitive scene at this point, right?
Yeah, so technically it's not my first major injury. My first major injury was breaking my arm in first grade when I first joined team on my first day without actually doing anything. So
Oh,
I had like a
right.
year off team of just conditioning and getting my arm just to go back straight after I took the cast off because it was stuck sideways. Yeah, so that was
Okay.
fun. But this was, I think, a lot worse in my opinion, just because like for how long I had been doing gymnastics at that point, and it was really like the major injury that made a giant setback. Because right at the beginning of when I tore my ACL, I was in really high debate of just quitting at that point because it was just such a catastrophic, in my opinion, just such a catastrophic like injury that I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like how am I gonna come back from this? Because like
Yeah, and
I
like, is it
like
worth it?
thing.
Like, that's the biggest thing that happened to me was like, is it worth it to like push through it to a point of like how positive am I allowed to be in this situation? You don't want to like have these expectations and like set it up and be like, I can do it. I'm going to push to this point. I'm going to get back to where I was, and then like not, and then be like, did I just waste all that time like trying to get to some point?
No, I agree. Like that was my big thing starting out. Like I had to really just convince myself to just start therapy because I knew I wanted to walk again and I wanted to use my legs.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I have to do this. And then slowly as I started going through it, because I was still going into the gym to condition, stretch, and do that kind of stuff because I was still allowed to stretch. I just couldn't bend my leg. And I was like, all
Okay.
right, like it sucks, but I at least get to see people still doing their stuff, training, and me just at least like they're doing something. And I really think that's kind of like what pulled me through was that it was going into my senior year and I was seeing everybody still training, everybody still working hard, really trying to like get their stuff going. And I was like, well, maybe I can give it one shot and see how it goes. So once I got cleared to start doing some like basic tumbling, light landing, and stuff like that, like I started training some basics again. Like I started doing back handsprings, standing back tucks. Round off back handspring, back tuck was still kind of like light tumbling. I would do like pop up. I would do some like round offs on vault occasionally. I would do parallel bars. I would do high bar. I just wouldn't do a full dismount off high bar. Same thing with rings. Like I was just working basics and trying to not worry about the landings as much. So I was just working skills that were on the actual
and
equipment.
and
Then.
I'm sure that it made you so happy. I bet it
Oh
was like you were probably more happy during that time than you were when you were training at that high competitive level.
oh
Am I
yeah,
right?
because
Yeah.
you it was surprising that I missed it as much as I did. I mean, I knew I would miss it just because it was, I mean, part of what I did for 12 years at that point,
Yeah.
10, 11 years at that point. Like it meant a lot more than I thought. And once I was finally able to start doing stuff again, I was like, wow, like I really can't believe that I thought about quitting as much as I did. Like I really
Right.
shouldn't have thought that way. But I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that sucked is like it took me the amount of time for my recovery to start doing the big skills again, quote unquote, was right up until competition season. So I pretty much was going into competition season just finishing the healing process.
Okay.
So
And
I wasn't
so
even doing full routines yet.
would you say, I mean, so the thing that really got you through and kept a positive mindset and let you like enjoy that time that you were having that downtime and like that healing process, like did it take patience? Is that patience or was it determination? Or like what was it that like got like was it the idea of coming back or was it you being present and just enjoying that you got to do something? Like what was it that helped?
That's a tough one.
I mean, it could be something completely different too. That's just kind of like what I took from
yeah.
the.
It, I would probably say at some point when I was doing conditioning at the gym and I was doing all that stuff and I was doing my physical therapy 2 to 3 times a week, I just came to the mindset and the determination of just I want to come back and I want to be able to at minimum do the stuff I was doing last year, if not try to get better. And I want to come back healthy and confident that I don't feel like I'm going to get hurt again. And that was like my biggest thing is like, I want to come back as soon as possible and really let it heal correctly and be confident in myself. Because like, that's the biggest thing about injury is like really being confident that you're not going to hurt it again is huge. Because it's always in the back of your head. Because I remember when I was just starting to walk again after the nerve blocker went out, or the nerve blocker went away in my leg from the surgery. And then when I was allowed to start bending my leg, putting full weight on it, the therapist that I had at the time, she was like, you got to understand, you're going to favor one side. So you have to try to walk as normally as possible. And you have to catch yourself. You have to fully extend your leg when you walk, take the same amount of strides so you're not pushing too much on the other side.
Yeah.
It takes time and it takes understanding. It takes patience. Like you have to be more critical of yourself doing things.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like a normal. I think that everyone should do that no matter what, because people have like these back problems. People have like any sort of body issue, and it's like you just need to be conscious of your body, and it's probably the way you're moving throughout the day. I don't care if you've had any kind of injury at all, but if you have some tight muscles, or you feel like one leg is bigger than the other, or maybe you don't use your left arm enough, to do things. It's like just small things like that, like being conscious of like what you're doing throughout the day with your body is like it's a major thing that impacts your life. I mean, you use your body for everything, and why are you not paying attention to how you're using it? With injury or without injury. So I think that everyone needs to be more conscious of it. And for me, it was the exact same thing. Being conscious of using my ankle from my ankle break. That was my biggest one. But for me, it's like the thing that got me through it was just knowing that I wanted to do it again. I didn't know I didn't know I would miss it so bad either. But especially like when I realized that I missed it, it wasn't when I got back. It wasn't like I didn't get back and be like, dang, I missed this. It was like a week in, and I was like, damn, I missed that. Like I need to get back to that. But so instead, you need stepping blocks and be like, I want to walk normal. I want to be able to do 30 single leg calf raises without stopping. I want to be able to run for 30 minutes. I want to be able to flex my foot and point my toe as much as they physically can, without pain. And I want to be able to, like, just these small things. Those are the small goals you need to focus on. It'll all come together. It's like if you do want a wrap trip, okay, instead of focusing on a wrap trip, focus on the things that lead up to it, because otherwise you're going to be trying to skip steps. And when you're trying to skip steps, it doesn't get there. Plus, then it's just constant negativity. Like, oh, I didn't do it today. Oh, I didn't do it today. Oh, I don't feel like I'm any closer. Even if you are getting better. That's why focusing on the smaller things and taking the proper steps really gets you through like the injury portion of it. And so from your injury, did you learn anything?
Oh yeah, I learned. Well, don't put your foot down early in a double full because it'll just tear your ACL and shit. But I mean, it really taught me to, like you were saying, like you have to take steps and not just try to focus too much on the big picture, because although you want to have an idea of what the big picture is going to be eventually, you have to make those tiny stepping stones and those tiny goals of like, I just want to be able to do this right now. And then once you accomplish that, it makes you feel a lot better and a lot more confident in yourself that you're going to heal better and things will be fine in the end. It's just, there are a lot of days where you're going through that healing process and you're just really getting sick of it. You don't want to condition. You don't want to just stretch. You want to be able to flip. You want to be able to do this. You want to be able to do that. But you can't let it drag you down too far into a rabbit hole. Like, you have to let yourself be frustrated and then think back of like, well, I have to go through the process now, so it's better later, so I don't have to redo the process. Because if you have to redo it, then it's just going to make it worse. And
Yeah,
then it really
definitely.
bogs you down. Like
That is so bad.
that's like one thing that I really try to take away, especially now that I'm a coach. Like I really think like, all right, like if they're injured, I really want them to have the correct amount of time to heal. I want them ideally if they're in the gym to be able to condition and being able to work the muscles that they're not using yet or they don't use right now because of their injury in some way, shape, or form so they don't 100% lose them, and then condition other parts of the body so that when they come back, they don't feel like they're missing as much time. It's like
Exactly.
that's the biggest thing.
That's what I did. So it was so cool. So I took if I say a year, but it's like 7 months, maybe more. I mean, but it was I mean,
Still, it's a long
yeah, it's
time.
been like to really get back to it for real has been quite a long time. But yeah, it was like instead of using that time and being like, oh, I'm resting, I gotta let this thing heal. I'm gonna focus on other things. Like, yeah, I'll get good at video games or I'll find this other hobby that I'm good at, like art or whatever, or like people
Yeah.
do kendama, in tricking. That's like a common thing. It's like these other things that allow you to heal. Okay, that's great. But I think that if you're not actively working on something else that also brings you towards your goal, it's like, okay, you're doing the rehab, but you also have these other hobbies. Okay, that's awesome. But you don't like, okay, when you normally go to the gym and you do your thing, you need to do something gym related. Like for
Oh yeah.
me, so I did everything I could do because it was my ankle that was really tough because I really wanted cardio. And cardio was so big for me because especially like I just felt sick, when I was like
Yeah.
sitting there all day, I was like, I feel like crap. I need cardio to get my body like whipped into like gear. Like I need my
Oh yeah.
mind to feel healthy with this cardio. So I just needed to do something. And I was like, I don't know what I can do because it's my ankle. So then I actually found chair exercises, which was actually super sick. So hard to do. So I just did these chair exercises and they're built for people with broken ankles, which is super crazy, or like other things. I'm sure you can do it with other things too, but basically it's like also for old people. So you just like sit in a chair and you do these workouts. And I was like, holy crap, these are intense. These are so bad. And also, thank God I was only in my cast for like 6 to 7. It was probably less than that. I think it was 5 months. But then I was still like major rehab after. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, it was good thing I was only in my cast for so long because I made that thing so sweaty. It was so disgusting, and
Gross.
it is what it is, But you gotta have something that works you towards your goals. For me during that time, during my session time, I wouldn't go to session, but instead I would do my workouts. I was actually doing workouts like twice a day along with rehab. And then I was doing yeah, because I was still like in school. So and I was like off of work, I was off of
Yeah.
work. Remember when I came back to work with the scooter?
Yeah, I know. God,
That
that
was
was
so
funny.
sick. Anyway, so yeah, doing the rehab and stuff, doing the workouts, and then I started studying tricks also and getting a really good understanding of like the skeletal structure and the muscle structure of the body and what allows different tricks to move. And I started stretching a lot more, and I started eating much healthier and like all these things that actually contributed to what I am now. If I
Yeah.
didn't have that ankle break, I think I would have plateaued hard. I think that ankle break made me into a much, much better tricker, which is really crazy because so I was sitting there with my broken ankle studying tricks, and I would like sit back in my chair and be like, wow, I'm so good at tricking now. Like I was like, I haven't tricked in so long. And when I was tricking last, I had landed like a couple dub dubs and like not done triple cork. And I was like, I am so good at tricking right now. Like no one has any idea how good I
God.
am. And then I got rid of my ankle break and I went back out to trick and dude, I got dub dub, I got snatch cannon, I got triple cork. I'd like,
Yeah, that's
in my
true.
it was like people were like, dang, have you always been this good? And I was like, no, I broke my ankle.
No, I broke my ankle.
Because I just
I
used that as like, I used it as like an accelerating point instead of like a dent. It wasn't a dent in my training. It was actually an accelerator. So I think if you do it properly, then it can definitely be an accelerator. Another example of accelerating is I got really good at swing throughs because I broke my right ankle. So that's what's crazy is like you can use it as an accelerator in a different way, instead of being like, oh, I'm going to drill the tricks in my head, I'm going to work out and make my body stronger. Okay, what if you just worked around the injury with other tricks,
Yeah. It is
So
one thing people tend to do too. Is like, I can use that to transition to my next point. There's a difference between being uncomfortable with something and it actually hurting. In my opinion, there's been a lot of times where it's been uncomfortable when I like start to run until it gets to a certain point, then it actually hurts.
yeah,
But you kind of have to, on usually most occasions, in my opinion, just kind of push through the uncomfortable stage to get it to work better. And that's the hard part because it feels like it hurts and it's just an annoying pain. It's kind of like that dull pain, which it just doesn't go away. And it's
yeah,
like,
it's
it
so
doesn't feel
different than like a
great.
normal injury for sure. Where it's like at this point, I would normally stop because I
Yeah.
don't want to cause an issue. It's not like that when you're healing from like scar tissue and lack of mobility, especially.
And that's the hardest point. Like, especially like I noticed with your ankle when you started doing those, oh, what was it? Where you'd put your foot to the wall and you have to touch your knee and
Oh
then you would
my
try to do it
gosh.
as far as you can. And you're like, look, I can touch my knee to the wall. I was like, oh, is that supposed to be hard? You're like, yeah, I just finally did that. I was like, dude, that's nothing. Like, what?
Yeah, and I've actually never been able to do that ever.
God,
Like it
that's
wasn't
just.
because of like the ankle break obviously made it harder to get there, but I had to do it with my left ankle too.
Oh my sweet
But
Jesus.
I wanna say though that all injuries are different and like yes,
Yeah,
sometimes but you have to mess with it and you have to be like, okay, I'm injured. What's gonna make this work? So like do like a controlled experiment and try different things on it. And because the doctor does not always know, and especially so like with my injury, it was actually like a really like it was very rare. It was like a weird way for my ankle to do what it did. I grew bone spurs, the bone spurs broke off. I grew the bone spurs back, and then I had floating bones locking in my ankle, and then I tore the tendon on the outside of my ankle. So it was like all this like small stuff made it really bad, and then they went in and cleaned it out, and then it's just swelled up really bad, and they were like, "We don't really know how you're gonna get it back, but these are some things that usually help." With people who have ankle injuries, but yours is just so specific to these areas. Like
yeah,
it's going to be tough to figure it out. And so like I was kind of babying it. I was running. I was like running. I was doing all my exercises, but they were very controlled. It was like, oh, I
yeah.
need to point my toe, so I would pull, my foot into a pointed toe. I would flex my foot against the wall, like all these things to like control the pain and control like the angles and like make sure that it wasn't uncomfortable but not too painful, and it wasn't getting any better. And it just felt like every single day I just had to relearn every movement. It was like, okay, I can get my ankle this far. That's awesome. I go to sleep, I wake up. Oh, it didn't get better. It's the exact same. And it was like that for like a month. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So then I got really pissed and I just was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the muscles in my own leg to move my ankle. And it was like, this hurts me so bad. I was like screaming while I was just moving my ankle in all the directions that it could go. They told me to do it slow and controlled. And I was like, this is not doing anything. So I just used my muscles and was just like aggressively moving my ankle from up, down, left, right, big circles, like as hard as I could, fighting, grinding against all the like the scar tissue and stuff. And it hurt so bad. Like, and I
God.
know at some points I was literally crying. Like, and I would do that. I did that for like a week because the first day I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, my ankle. So basically what would happen, I would do those exercises, my ankle would feel good for like 10 minutes. And then it would kind of go back and I would like do it again, just trying to keep it in a good stage as long as I could throughout the day. But then I did
Yeah,
that aggressive movement and it was good for hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I figured something out. So it was good for hours instead of just that small amount of time, even though it hurt so bad during. Afterwards, it felt amazing. And so then I did that for a week and I started to keep my mobility, and it was keeping mobility instead of taking those steps back every day. And so, but that was some serious pain. That was like one of the
oh
most
yeah,
painful things I've ever done. And also like the mental energy you need when doctors are telling you no, don't do it that way, and then it's like, but that's what works. And then I tell them that it has been working. They're like, okay, then keep doing it. But I don't think they understood either, like how bad it hurt. Like like when I did bring up how bad it hurt, they're like, you shouldn't do that. And I was like, okay. And then I like kept doing it. And then I was like, okay, well it worked. And they were like, okay, that's good. Okay, all right, we'll keep doing it. But like I don't know if they understand how bad that actually hurts. And I just want to put that out there too, is like it might hurt really bad and everyone might tell you that it's a bad idea, but you got to do the experiments yourself. Plus everybody's body reacts differently, so even if it's a common injury,
true.
you might have to still do experiments with your body to figure out what's going to help you.
Yeah, because like even just doing like basic squat movements. Like I have girls that have really bad knee issues, and well, not I guess I shouldn't say really bad knee issues, but they complain that their knees hurt a lot. I'm just like, if you just move it through the full range at least a couple of times, I mean, like 5 to 10 times, sometimes it'll make it feel better just because the body naturally tries to lubricate itself in the joints to make sure that it stays healthy. It doesn't want to feel pain.
But if you're not using it, it's not
it.
going to lubricate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. That's why some people that have really achy joints and then they'll just sit there and not do anything, that's actually just making it worse. Like, granted, yeah, you don't feel the immediate pain of using that body part or that joint, but then if you start to actually move, it starts to feel better. Just even a little bit, it starts to feel better. And then once you start getting used to it and you start pushing more, start going further, start doing it longer, then all of a sudden it gets significantly better, or sometimes it just goes away.
Yeah, so I say, yeah, I think the consensus here is like the determination happens during the push period of the rehab and the pain and the the actual physical part that you're dealing with. And then I think that the rest of it is just like a season and letting yourself be comfortable in the situation and allow yourself to be grateful for what you can do and then using it as an accelerator ultimately. Like even you're doing with the girls, like you need to condition right now. You need to, still come to practice and watch these other girls, improve so that you can, that's something that I wish I would have done during my rehab is actually still go to the gym and watch other people trick. In replacement of that, I was actually watching a lot of samplers and doing the tricking breakdowns and like understanding how all the tricks are connected and related to each other and all the muscle movements that are required for all the tricks. But yeah, I think actually going to the session also and listening to other people talk about their upgrades and is like essentially the same thing. If you can't, because some people can't just do that breakdown on their own or they're not focused enough to do that. So putting yourself in the gym, is like, oh, this is my gym time. I'm going to focus on these tricks. I'm going to watch them and learn with them. Like you play some RC tricker, right? You watch them fail a card dub and you're like, why did they fail that card dub? It's because of this and this. Okay, go again, please.
Try that again. Just try it this way. Oh, that worked great.
Good. Write that down. You're learning without putting yourself in danger. It's pretty sick.
Don't forget to follow our socials at ZidaneCloud on Instagram for me, Sean.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's Crispy Tricks on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, Trix Fix, TRIX space FIX for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.